What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Competitive Edge Podcast. Today, you know I love athletes, so I got one of my good friends here in Nashville, Tennessee coming on. We're going to talk about not only his transition from sports and your identity that many of us have really found in sports. That's how we got success. And then how he's transitioned not only to be a TEDx speaker, he's written books, he's a coach, he's a speaker. And by the way, one of my favorite speakers, and he's inspired me, he doesn't even probably know this, with some of his videos and how he shows up in a way that I say is true to himself, but is inspiring people just to bet on you and to be you when you show up in the world. And it wouldn't be cool if you showed up in a powerful way, in the way God designed you to be, and you started to attract the right people, the right clients, and everything there, and your life got into a flow. So we're going to jam on that and a whole lot more. So Darryll Stinson, my friend, welcome.
Let's get it.
Dude, I'm pumped.
Me too, man. I'm pretty stoked, bro.
Well, this was good. And we met. I got to tell the story because when you came out to support us at one of the events I was speaking at, you messaged me, and this stood out to me because you're like, "Hey, me and Brittany, your wife, she's like, we're gonna come out there. We're gonna meet you." I'm like, "Dude, what? You're gonna come out and support?" Like, we didn't even know each other, and it was such a cool gesture that immediately I was like, "I want to know more about you. I want to know your story." And just how you showed up, I was like, that's somebody I want to spend time with. So your energy, I'd love to start there, because when you walk in a room, one, physical presence, you know, not everybody can have that, but you do. But your energy, you're locked in on the moment. How do you channel that? And when you walk in, like, what are you thinking to walk in and make sure you're ready for that moment?
Totally. The energetic frequency is a byproduct of a life practice. Right, it's why you got it, and that's why I know I'm the one being interviewed. But like, part of me, like, this presence thing that you're on, like, it's a really big deal to me, because it's not just like, how do I show up in good vibes, right? Like, it's really a culmination of the integrity you live your life with and the consistency by which you lead your life. So for me, I'm tall, I'm 6'5.5", I'm a former football player, so I look like I used to play back in the day. And so there's that natural physical physique, which even physical physique requires a consistency of practice to have, right? So think about that. What we do consistently with our physicality creates an immediate attraction or not from somebody. It's the same thing with our energetic work. So for me, I know we'll get into this foundational flow that we're like excited to dive into, but that's a big part of how I cultivate my energy. It's how I live in my life consistently and intentionally. And most people aren't being intentional. Okay, you ever have that momentum where you're being intentional and you're like, I'm stacking those wins, and then it's like building and building? That's an energetic momentum you're in, and it feels good to come off of, like, most people can relate to like checking things off a to-do list. So one of the best things to do is, like, I don't know if you ever done this. You ever write something on your to-do list just so you can check it off?
Yeah, man.
Why?
Of course.
That dopamine hit, that energy rush. Imagine if you could feel like that more than you don't. It's a great place to start.
Oh, it'd be huge.
Right? Most people walk around life. They don't want to go to work on Monday. Wednesday's hump day. Friday, they're waiting for the weekend. And I'm like, for me, being a suicide survivor, that's no way to live life. Every day matters. I'm living the life, Brian, that I tried to end. So I don't want to wake up and just be like, oh, going through the motion. How you doing? Keep it on. Intentionality. Okay. So I'll say that, and then I want to add this part: blocking anything that's interfering with my full expression. Okay. So if I have a podcast I want to start, if I have a conflict with my team member, my wife, I don't suppress those conflicts, suppress those dreams, suppress those ideas. I do my best to express them and go after them. And that creates an energetic frequency. Imagine how you feel when you don't do the things that are in your heart. Oh, I'm not doing it. Oh, I said I was going to do it. But imagine how you feel when you do. Oh, I do it. I'm launching it. I'm doing the thing. Yeah. It gives you that energetic frequency. So I'm in that. Okay. And then the last thing I'll say is gratitude. I think if people pause before every interaction in a social setting or a meeting, and they just said, let me spend time centering on what I'm most grateful for now in this moment, I feel it changed their energetic vibration, how they show up in life.
Right away.
Easily. Easily.
But how many people actually do that?
Very few. Too busy. I'll check my social media more than I'll check my heart.
That's a reality today.
It is.
You know, the people, if they were to look at their time and they scroll and all that, versus how much time are you spending being still? If it's not in the right proportion, we shouldn't wonder why we have these feelings.
Exactly.
And going that way. Well, hey guys, it's Brian here. I hope you are enjoying the show. By the way, if you're an entrepreneur or a solopreneur looking to grow your personal brand, make a bigger impact, maybe increase your leads and grow your revenue, let's help you get started today by connecting up with my friends over at the Brand Builders Group. You've heard me talk about them, but if you're new here, this is definitely the first step to get you started in turning your reputation into revenue. Head over to freebrandcall.com/Brian Covey. Again, to set up your free brand call, go to freebrandcall.com/Brian Covey to set up a free strategy call with one of the team at Brand Builders, and they will dive into your specific goals for how you want to grow your personal brand. I can't wait to hear how it goes. So let's go back, because you brought up the story, and I was going to ask you, my friend, but you know, my dad being a psychologist and all that stuff, and like knowing that, and some friends similar to your story matters. And what you've been through, I think, is unfortunate. We've had a few people recently take their lives, men, and it's one of those. My wife and I were talking about the other day, and I was thinking about you coming on the show, and I was like, dude, we got to share your story, because and I'll just speak for the men, because I've never been a woman, but your story and what you went through, how you got to that point, and then now how you're living different. What would you share looking back?
I say whatever we don't express, we suppress. Okay? So if we have an emotional spike in our day, in our life, okay, conflict, even if something small, somebody cut you off in traffic, you don't express it, okay, with even just a deep breath or a verbal, this happened, okay, we suppress it in our cellular memory. And when you suppress things, it's only a matter of time before you implode or explode. Okay, so for me, I suppressed for about well over a decade. Growing up,
wow, that long.
Small town, growing up in poverty, the hood. My father wasn't as active in my life the first 5 years. He took longer to come around because he was a high-level Division I athlete as well. Actually played at my same school, Central Michigan. Yeah. Everyone from Michigan knows, but ended up getting hurt. Same story that I had, and so my mother was really tough on me, and it was different times then too. Like a couple generations ago, everyone like raised by force. There was no like, how you feeling? You know, like
there were belts. There was consequences.
It was different, you know. I mean, and you go back another generation, it's like you got beaten class, you know. So I didn't get as worse as my mom, but I dang sure got it way worse than my children, right? And so like, you know, she was very hard on me, and anytime I would cry, she'd be like, "Boy, you better stop crying. I'll give you something to cry about." And it created this like, and on top of that, it just wasn't popular to be an emotional male growing up. Like you were going to get jumped or robbed.
You don't have any friends talking that way.
You know, and as athletes, we're taught like you don't show weakness. Don't even let them see you sweat.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. And
so now I take that mentality and I apply it to. It's good for my physical dominance.
Yeah.
It's terrible for my emotional health. So now I'm taking that psychology of like, be tough, don't cry, you know, don't let them see you sweat. And I'm living like that for years. Okay. So I got teased for being a black kid that talked to white when I was younger. I changed everything about myself to fit in with other people rather than talking and expressing, hey, I feel like I don't fit in. I feel like something's wrong with the way that I talk. I suppressed it. Implosion. Rather than being like, hey, I'm actually scared. I don't like walking through my neighborhood. I don't know if I'm going to get jumped or bullied. And I got to walk around like this all the time. Suppression. Oh, I'm an athlete and people love me because I'm a jock. But I don't know if they love me because of what they think they can get from me because I'm potentially going to go in the first round. Or if they love me for who I actually am. How do I know? Suppression. And so I'm not talking to anybody about that. So then when I had my back surgery at my end of my true freshman year, it was like career was supposed to be over. I couldn't let it go. I signed a liability waiver and I played, and now I've got this whole double life I'm living where I'm selling drugs and to cover the cost of my medical care, and I'm getting epidural shots, nerve killings, surgeries, illegal procedures. I'm taking strong opioid pills.
Yeah.
And what started as me taking them to numb my physical pain so I can play football, which I managed to start for 2 years.
It's crazy.
Morphed into me using it for my emotional pain from knowing that my career was coming to an end.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even have the vocabulary to be like, I'm depressed, I'm struggling mentally. I didn't even know. Didn't even know.
Yeah.
Just was drinking, smoking, suppressing,
Yeah.
just not even feeling. Didn't even want to feel the emotions. Long story short, Brian, I got to the point where I was taking so many opioid pills, they were thinning my blood, and every time I was making contact on the field, my nose would bleed. Oh. So the coaches kept seeing that I was having these frequent nosebleeds, and they were like, "No way,
yeah,
we got a lawsuit. We can't let this happen." So going into my senior, they kicked me off the team. I went through a dark depression. I went from 275 pounds to 219 pounds in 4 weeks.
Wow.
And I imploded. I started to say, man, Darryll, people don't love you for you. They just love you for your gift. Mm-hmm. Man, without sports, you're going to go back to being that person who's a black kid that talks and acts white, who doesn't fit in, who doesn't belong. And I didn't want to deal with that pain. And oh, by the way, this sport that you love, you can't get it back.
Yeah.
And only athletes can understand that pain of having a dream and not actually being able to chase it. You see, most people, if you're not an athlete, you got a dream, you can chase it, no matter how many times you fail.
That's right.
But there's some point in an athlete's career you can't chase it.
No.
Physically, you can't do it anymore.
That's right.
And it was tormenting. And so I ended up in a psychiatric care facility after multiple times attempting to end my life, and my life changed there forever. I had 2 people come witness to me about Christ. And they said the same exact phrase. They didn't talk to each other, didn't meet each other, didn't know each other. And they asked me, would I say yes to God? And that was the shift. I was agnostic up until that point, and that gave me faith and hope and purpose. Second thing that happened is I found out about this internal world, self-care. You see, I had a system of success as an athlete. I didn't have a system of self-care.
No.
I knew how to outwork you.
Yeah.
I knew how to be a good team member. I had the mindset to achieve.
Yeah.
I didn't have the connection with myself to be. And so I always ask people, most people have a system of success, but they don't have a system, hear the word system, of self-care. A systematic approach to doing self-care so that it produces similar results.
That's right.
Okay. And so, that's what that book is about. I helped develop that care system to help high performers to develop self-care. I had to put it through the lens of high performance because they're like, how's that going to move the dial?
Yeah,
I'll tell you how. Because people who participate in self-care are more statistically proven to outperform those that don't. The more connection you have with self. By the way, your emotional clarity expands your emotional capacity.
Say that again.
Your emotional clarity expands your emotional capacity. Okay, so you ever been overwhelmed by a bunch of stuff?
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to think straight, ain't it?
That's right.
Okay, that's low emotional capacity because of low emotional clarity. Okay. Now you get clear. You're like, okay, I can handle work and life again. Okay.
Yeah.
Emotional clarity expands emotional capacity. Okay. Same thing. That's true for anything in life, anything in leadership, anything in real, right? And so for people, they don't spend the time to get emotionally clear enough to have higher levels of capacity. They take a licking and keep ticking. They white knuckle their way through success. And there's only a matter of time before you implode or explode or burn out.
That's right. Which we're hearing people use that word in our industry right now. Man, that is the word.
It's the
word.
word.
I'm talking to people that, I don't know how to categorize it. You might be able to help me with this too. And so people listening is like, they're burned out. And I've been coming back to this lack of alignment and talking to them. That's where I go, because I'm like, when I felt it, that's what I went. But what would be your take of people that are feeling that today, of like the burnout, the frustration, and you're sharing this, and I'm going, without clarity, you have no capacity.
Yeah, you know what, man. Burnout is such a complicated thing because it's like you got to find the source. You got to get to the root. And what I've learned is a lot of times for people, it's usually not just one thing. It's usually a combination of 2 or 3. Okay. And especially in a leadership capacity, it's almost always connected to their ability to delegate. Almost always. Even leaders, I know leaders with 30, 100, 1,000 person. I got a client that's got 1,000 person team and doesn't have an assistant.
Oh,
I know. That's my face. Exactly. But stuff like that, like just because you have a team don't mean you know how to delegate.
That's so true.
And so I think some people, like us, trying to say, take time for yourself and breathe and slow down and take a day off. It's not helping them not burn out because they still accumulate a bunch of work that they don't know how to delegate, and they get stressed the first day they're back. I tell you what, if you on your physical, you probably know your PR, like what can you squat?
I know a lot of my numbers.
Do you know your squat number?
Back squat?
Can you squat? Do you do that now?
I do back squat.
What
I
is
hit
that?
355.
Okay,
latest.
cool. That's massive, bro. You're a freaking
It's good for
stud.
me. Yeah.
Dude,
at my age, I'm good.
Exactly.
I'll be 48.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm good.
Exactly.
I don't need to lift more than that anymore.
Exactly, dude. It's monsters for that age, right? Even as an athlete, still great. You know, you got former players who just, you already know they look like they didn't even play.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The chicken
exactly.
legs,
all the above, right? So like, imagine if you just showed up and you're like, today I'm gonna do 415. People try to do that when they go to work every day. I'm gonna max out and I'm gonna do more than what I'm conditioned or have the capacity to do. That's a recipe for burnout.
Oh yeah, injury.
So you need a system by which you're delegating to your team, and yes, you need a flow in your life that helps you to bring your best. Because if you don't feel your best, you won't perform your best, and most people are operating off of like 60%, just dragging themselves to work off of coffee, versus like their passion waking them up.
Yeah, like real energy.
You see what I'm saying? And so there is a need for self-care and flow, and there's a massive need for delegation. And I think if we cover both and stop trying to just only push it on the self-care button, we'll be in a better place in terms of actually solving the burnout crisis.
Dude, that's huge.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to go back to your story because I love this, and I'd heard that's when you basically changed your life.
Yeah.
Right? So you're in there. You're in the psychiatric ward. You're meeting these two people, and they change your life there. What did life look like when you left? Because now you've made some big decisions, and I think people often they make a big decision. It's like, well, now what? It's like this new identity, but you're not yet that person.
I was on fire. Number one, I had just met Jesus.
Which is
Number two, I had just survived a suicide attempt, so it was a near-death experience, right? And I had multiple of them. Yeah. And so now that I have purpose, I'm like, I got Jesus. I survived suicide.
You're invincible.
I just wanted to go. I did have this deep insecurity because I had a vision when I was 9 years old that I was supposed to be like this big influencer. I saw myself in front of a sea of people, and I felt like God spoke to me and said, that's the level that you're called to impact. And I ran and I got insecure and I went in the streets and I didn't like follow that path as a leader. And even to the point where like even when I was far gone by the time high school came around, and my freshman principal said, you're going to be the leader of the class of 2008. And I was like,
say what?
She got no clue what she's talking about.
Yeah.
But like that was really who I was called to be. And I ran from that. I didn't intentionally develop it. And so when I had this moment after, which was my senior in college, the rebirth 2012, I felt like I had a lot of lost time to make up for. So I was trying to make up from senior year in college to 9 years old. And so I literally lived in the library. Like, I'm not kidding you. I didn't like live there, but I was there for like 9-hour days, 10-hour days, 12-hour days, trying to catch up on what I felt like was my assignment in life. So that was hard. So my life like that, it was like for the first probably 3 to 4 months, like I was just living at the library. I had a
you hadn't done that before. You weren't a reader like that.
Nah, man.
Okay.
I got it's funny because it's so hard to answer questions now that I know who I am.
Yeah, you had to go back to that older version.
Yeah, because one of the most dangerous things that limits people is who they think that they are or think that they are not. Okay, so one in high achiever world is like, I'm not an emotional person. Okay, that's an identity that you have that's now limiting your capacity as a leader because you think you're not emotional. Yeah, and so you're not able to access something that is in your toolkit, which is the power of your emotions and your internal guiding system.
That's right.
And so everybody who says they're not an emotional person, number one, I debunk that 2 ways. Number one, I say when you were born, if I was there on the day, I guarantee you the first thing that you did was cry.
Yeah, always. Yeah.
Okay, so you have emotions, so you learn not to be emotional. Okay, the other thing I try to attack them with is like, hey, do you ever have a gut instinct that you follow? Okay, you understand it's an emotion. that you feel through the physical instrument of your body. And so they start to get it. Like, okay, I am an emotional person. You're right. I just was learning because the dad was tough or whatever that I actually do have emotions. Cool. Well, you know, one of the most valuable leadership currencies today is emotional intelligence. It's a big body of work. How can you have great emotional intelligence if you don't have emotions, right? Yeah. So I think who we tell ourselves we're not is such a bad problem. So I told myself I wasn't an emotional person. I told myself I wasn't a leader. I told myself I wasn't a spiritual person. So I was overcoming all of those limiting beliefs and the way that I saw myself. That was the early, I don't know, 6 to plus months or so of just like, you know what? I'm leaning into my emotions. You know what? I'm leaning into my ability to lead. I was a terrible speaker. I couldn't put 2 sentences together. I used to be so afraid to speak in front of people, Brian, that when they did icebreakers, I used to fake like I had to go to the bathroom so they would skip over me. One of my first speeches, I wrote it out word for word, read it into a recorder, strung headphones up my jacket, left one headphone in to give the audience the appearance that I forgot to take my headphones out, hit play, and started to recite what was on my recorder.
Wow. Okay. That's very adaptable, I'm going to say, though, because like most people would never even come up with that. Oh.
Insecurity will make you do stupid things.
Crazy things. People are listening to this going, oh, yeah, I went to the bathroom, too. I left that room.
Yeah, I know.
They know.
I know. They get it.
And then now where you are.
Right.
Because I think back to these older versions of ourselves, and like as you're sharing that, too, like we were joking, it's like it's almost hard to, you can go back and see yourself in those years and seasons, but with now where you are, TEDx speaker. I saw you speak and you crushed it. You came on stage. I'm like, yeah. And people were engaged and in it. And so I think they missed the in between though.
Oh, totally.
So from being this person that's walking out of the room, scared to death, putting the headphones in, how did you then say, okay, I've had this vision since I was like 9.
Yeah.
How did you then start to become that person outside the library? Like speaking is, I think, still the number 1, number 2 most feared thing outside of death.
Totally.
And people are deathly afraid of speaking.
Yeah.
And yet you've continued to master and conquer it.
Yeah. So here's my greatness formula. Here's how you be great at everything, in my opinion. Okay? 3 areas. Mindset, skill set, network. That's it. Mindset, skill set, network. Okay? So mindset. You want to be the best? Study the best.
Yeah, that's right.
And so first thing I did, okay, I'm not the best. I got to study the best.
Yeah.
Who's the best? Okay, who resonates with me the most? Yeah. So I'm starting to listen to Eric Thomas and John Maxwell and Lisa Nichols and Bishop T.D. Jakes and like all these people. I can just rattle them off. And a lot of it was consuming, studying, and then I'm also investing in mentorship and coaching to get access and proximity to accelerate the path, right?
That's right.
And so like just dipping my toe in there. Like I think I was like one of the first people to know about the certified John Maxwell coach thing, like all that. So those are all people I've been mentored by. So, you know, Lisa Nichols, Pete Vargas, Pat Quinn, Les Brown, Eric Thomas, Jeremy Anderson, some names you might not know, Jane Atkinson, John Maxwell, of course, T.D. Jakes, I would give Travis Hall a shout out, Bucky O'Neill. Like I've been trained by some really boss people. Mindset. Okay, so I was constantly developing my mindset and how do they think in order to produce those results. So I'm observing there's got to be a way that they're thinking about speaking.
That's right.
Or they're thinking about business that I'm not thinking about these things. Okay? Oh my God, you have to be eloquent. No, you don't. You got to be authentic. That's a mindset. So mindset isn't just like, I can be the best. Yeah. Mindset is also just the filter by which you lead your life, like by which you view the world. And so changing the filter to one that is of light and abundance is mindset. Mindset doesn't just determine how high you go. Mindset informs how deep you go as well. That's right. And so like I was learning from their mindset and how they viewed communication and how they thought about the calling to speak, and then skill set. There's a lot of people in this world, Brian, who are trying to out-mindset their skill set.
Okay, explain that, because I think I know.
Okay. I'm going to get rich by telling myself, you are one with money. You are abundant. You're more than enough. Like, you can throw scriptures on it. You can throw whatever. But if you don't have a budget and you don't know how to sell or market, you will not be wealthy.
Ain't gonna happen.
But you're trying to out mindset skill set, and it happens to people all the time.
Yeah.
I just need to think I can, think I can, and not do. And so you can't out mindset skill set. And like, I'll give you a very practical example that's not that old for me either, because I think speakers are really good at talking about old stuff.
Yeah.
We don't like talking about fresh stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So this one's kind of fresh. It was like a year and a half, 2 years old. But I noticed that I was sabotaging. Okay. I had this big S on my chest, 2.1 million views on my TEDx talk in a year and a half, all organic, no big PR, no fancy press, no nothing. Real value, baby. And then I asked myself, well, what would have happened if I would have did PR, if I would have did a book promotional push? And I realized that, man, my ego and wanting to do it organically was affecting my impact. And it hit me. And I was like, well, what would happen if I played a bigger game? Okay. Now, did you notice what I said? I had 2.1 million views on the TEDx talk. And number one, TEDx talk, already a big accomplishment. 2.1 million views in a year and a half is unheard of. Yeah. And I still had more in the tank. Why? Because for high achievers and people who are extremely gifted, your average looks like somebody else's exceptional. And we'll settle for somebody applause versus stretch to our full potential. And so I was in that mode. People were celebrating. I was coaching clients. I was doing great. I was even growing myself, but I wasn't really playing this bigger game I was meant to play. And it was because of this, I got to do it organically mode. So bring me back to my question here, because I'm losing my bearings. Help me out. What question are we answering?
Going from the speaker that you were to where you
mindset,
are.
Mindset, skill set, network. Okay, I'm giving you a skill set example. Thank you. So a lot of people that were giving me advice, even coaches who I was paying well, was trying to tell me all this mindset stuff to play a bigger game. Okay, they were cognitively coaching me to play the bigger game. It wasn't working. Okay, the root of it was that I had an insecurity. I felt like I had been listening to people for so long that were Jesus my savior, but was my savior in a lot of ways. And now I was their peers, and my brain just wouldn't be okay with that. It was like, there's no way I'm as good, or I can share the stage with Eric Thomas or Les Brown, even though I was doing that. I still was like, it wasn't my predominant psychology. Okay, so they tried to mindset me. But here's how I overcame. I had to attack it with skill set. So I went, okay, because here's the thing. In sports, everyone has the mindset. Everyone thinks that they can be the best. But if you run a 4.3 and I run a 4.5, you're faster, no matter how good my mindset is.
That's right.
And so I had the same thing. I'm like, Darryll, okay, what is the skill set between you and whoever that you think you need to develop in order to actually feel good about your mindset? So not bypass your mindset, but elevate your skill set so that your mindset is just a reflection of your skill set. You know you're good at it because you're good at it. Not because you're telling yourself you're good, but because you're good.
You're really good.
Okay. And so I went, okay, I made a list of 6 things. I wish I could remember the exact 6. I don't remember them at this moment, but I made a list of 6 exact things. Okay. They have a clear problem that they solve. Okay. They have a brand palette and a photo selection and that accurately reflects how they show up on stage. Okay, they have this demo reel with this many cameras. Like, I made a list of 6 things. And I said, how about I develop the skill in this 6 areas versus try to develop my mindset and out mindset my skill set. Do you see the importance?
Oh, big time.
Big part.
We've all been there.
Big part. So what if there's listeners right now who are listening to this podcast trying to out mindset skill set? And what if it would be more valuable for them if they actually made a list? Okay, what is making you feel like an imposter? What is making you feel insecure? And what would you feel like you would need to do in order to not feel insecure or like an imposter? Would you need to record 50 episodes? Would you need to articulate to a certain skill level or degree? Like, what is it? Define it.
Yes.
And then now you have a roadmap of development versus a recipe for disaster.
Dude, that's huge.
Yeah.
You always say that everybody has this point A and a point B.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, most of it is not the mindset. Especially if you're showing up to personal development and you're doing all these things.
Mm-hmm.
If they're listening to a podcast, I would just submit to them, your mindset's probably pretty strong.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot of people that their skill set is just like, if you were to audit you and you were to get some real feedback, are your skills at an elite level? Because for most of us, I even put myself in that category. It's like, I need to improve on that. I need to improve on that. And if we're not even aware of it and we don't take the actions like you did. So for somebody that's listening, skills to speak. I'm always fascinated by this because, I ask people all the time that are great speakers. I'm like, so what is it? Like, what makes you a great speaker? Because, it's not just getting up there and, hey, guys, the energy. I heard somebody say it the other day. Darren's like, you show up with great energy, but then you also have substance. You also connect with the audience. So what makes a great speaker? And somebody that's listening, maybe some things that you've done, skill set.
Woosah.
Yeah.
So much I can say, y'all. Number one, this is what I teach for a living. This is what I'm here on the planet to help people to do, to fully express themselves and advance their God-given message, to reclaim the true passion of this calling and stop seeing yourself as a speaker and start identifying as a vessel, because the most powerful transformative speakers are not those who are eloquent with words, but are those who are available to God.
Amen.
Okay, so number one is the principle of congruence. Okay, I actually learned it from a mentor. He crushed the training. It was
congruence,
standing ovation.
Yeah.
And I was like, how'd you do that? I wanted the notes.
Yeah.
I wanted the practice framework.
Yeah.
I wanted the 1, 2, 3 steps. He was at a level I hadn't tapped into quite yet. So I asked. He said, principle number 1, Darryll, I don't teach anything that I don't do. I know. And I guarantee you, there's probably speakers on the circuit who are like, oh no, I do this stuff. And I'm like, no. Studying is not the same thing as doing.
Thank you.
It's not.
Nope.
So you reading your top leadership books and John Maxwell and all Seth Godin and Rory and Brian, like on all these books, and then going, here's my best 3 tips that I learned from these books, is not as potent as, hey, here's what I've been practicing in my life for the last decade. Let me show you some nuances about how to implement.
That's right.
Okay, so congruence, the degree by which what I practice in my life is congruent with what I say with my lips. Okay? There are people who are teaching and speaking on stages about manifestation and they're broke.
Oh, we've seen them.
There are people who are teaching leadership and their team doesn't even think they're a great leader.
Yeah. And
they might even have a skill to articulate, but if you follow the fruit of their lips, there won't be transformation, because transformation, you can, people will Maya Angelou says, people will forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. I like to say people will remember what you said, but you can only duplicate who you are. So if you're going to duplicate that itness that Brian has, it has to come from the nectar of your own personal practice.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's a big principle. And if somebody's looking for a place to start, I think that's the best place to start. And it helps beginners because now they don't have to deal with insecurity.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to be insecure about your life's work and what you know to be true. You're a master at you.
Yeah.
So focus on what has helped you, and then it lessens that insecurity a bit.
I found that in my own journey.
Yeah.
It's like when I try to talk on a topic or I have something and I've changed it.
Yeah.
I've even done an audible. Like the morning of, I was speaking at an event in Atlanta and I remember I was like, dude, this just doesn't feel like me.
Yeah.
This just ain't my message.
Yeah.
We're going to go over it. Like, I know, and you don't even have to practice as much. I always say it's like, because you've done it, you know it, and you're being real with the audience on, hey, I've done it. Here's my experience with it. So the stories are real stories.
Yeah.
It's not like I got to pull a story out and go,
yeah,
no.
Yeah.
Real. Dude, I love that. Well, let's jump into this foundational flow, because you kind of teased on it earlier. And I'm like,
got me starting that speaking.
I know.
I'm like, I want to talk about speaking. Let me give one more tip for speaking.
Let's do it. Okay. I don't want to give them all your tips, though.
I know.
I want them to connect with you.
I got plenty, bro. If this was given to me, so I had the right degree. I didn't have the right experience because I knew how to cheat my way through school. So I worked for our university for 3 years in the communications department as an internal and external communications professional. And by doing so, I had the opportunity to go to school for free. So I went back and retook undergraduate courses.
Oh, okay.
One of the undergraduate courses that I went back and retook was public speaking.
Yeah.
I got one of the best teachers, and he taught me this paradigm on communication, that communication is not, public speaking is not when you're on a stage in front of spotlights. It's any time you're expressing yourself. So when I'm talking right now, when you're talking to your children, you're looking to articulate your thoughts and you're looking for it to be received by another person. That's public speaking. And it made it not this mysterious big stage theatric thing I needed to prepare for.
That's right.
And it made it a practice of expression. So if I could give somebody a daily practice, it's like, hey, practice articulating your thoughts and how you feel more intentionally, more often.
That's right.
Okay. And usually when people start that practice, it's super helpful because they'll notice that a lot of times they like communicate and they're like their head's one place and their mouth is saying something to their spouse or whatever, but their head's like thinking about work.
Yeah.
And so once they start being intentional, they're like, they sit up and they're like, okay, now I'm practicing. And they notice like, oh man, I'm stumbling over words here. I'm sticking here. I'm struggling to say stuff here, blah, 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 blah. And then they start to see like, oh, how you do anything is how you do everything. If I can get good at articulating here, no, it's not a big speech with 3 points and a call to action, but it's the skill of articulating and and connecting with a human being. So maybe you don't need a stage to practice on. You just use the stage that's right in front of you. And so I wanted to add that because I think that's
so good.
Such an easy bar for people.
Well, I think about that now. It's like people who are married, like us. I'm like, man, if you're not communicating well in that relationship, you'll know.
Yeah.
Two, it's not good.
Right.
It's one of those, if you can communicate there,
right.
I say some of those are the best points of communication. Like when somebody doesn't understand you, it's like, that means I haven't explained it well.
Totally.
And so that's me.
Yes.
How do I learn?
Yes.
I always joke with my 9-year-old, I'm like, if he doesn't understand a concept or I'm sharing something, it's like, did I overcomplicate this? Because he should be able to get it. Right. Like, shouldn't overcomplicate. Okay. Well, we're going to make sure people connect with you after the show because I want them to learn because you've got way more gold on it. But I want to dive into this foundational flow because you're pretty passionate about it.
So I'll preface it with saying this foundational flow is something that I was like, when we talked about me coming on the podcast, I'm listening to all these guests, right? It's like, that's it. Send me your top 2 episodes for me.
Yes.
And then I went through and then just binge listening, right? And I still listen here and off. Like, I'm not like an every week person, but I've caught a lot of your episodes.
We appreciate you.
Yeah.
They all count.
And part of it is because of how you interview. Right? It's like you're very mindful of the listener, and that's, as a listener, that's super important. It's like I want to feel like they know somebody's listening.
Yes, it's not just us having the conversation.
It is, but it's not. You know, so yes. But I figured, I said, man, I know there's a ton of people that are trying to get into entrepreneurship as a side hustle, and I know there's a ton of people that are like trying to like make their full thing, more their full thing, or just find their edge. Yeah. And I think this foundational flow for me is a way of running your life and business so that you have a basic level of momentum in your life. Yeah. That momentum is that feeling like things are working more than they're not. Yeah. Okay. And we all want to feel like that. We don't want to feel like we don't know where our next client's coming from. Like we don't know how to manage our cash flow. We don't want to feel like we have more work than we have day. Yeah. So this foundational flow is a system of managing your life and your work so that you stay in flow. Okay.
Dude, it's good. Yeah, because people come in and out.
Hey, they do. And even my clients, they'll be in our program and they'll start getting on stages and growing their influence, and then they get overwhelmed by the growth. And then it's like, it's cool. Just go back to the foundation flow. It'll catch you. Yeah. Okay. It's like, at the minimum, let's get you working out 30 minutes a day. Yeah. It'll probably clean up a lot in the physical, right? Oh, yeah. And so that's what this foundational flow will do. And so what could I tell people? Number one, just email me flow and I'll send it to you. Cool. Okay. Like I don't run my business with a ton of like lead magnets and email nurture sequences. I don't have anything against it. I ran that model for a while and it was like staff heavy and I was always creating a new lead magnet and I was like, it just wasn't me. Yeah. So anyways, this is not that. You got to email me. I'll just send you the Google Drive link. And I'll highlight 1 or 2 things that I think is key in that system. Cool. One, and I know you do this, but it's that daily review. I notice when I don't have a 15, 30-minute time, and sometimes it doesn't even take that long, at the end of my work day to reflect on what were my wins. Yeah. Did I actually show up and do the things? Did I not? What got distracted? And then how do I correct anything I can correct before I go into the next day? Okay.
Gold.
Oh my God. It was the gift of athletics for me.
Yes.
I got in entrepreneurship and even in corporate, and you met like once a week and reviewed like quarterly or annual performance review. But when you did sports, we watched practice. Watching practice in sports is the equivalent in corporate of like having a camera at your desk while you work.
Yeah.
And then being like, when did you check social media? When did you drift off? When did you send something slow? And you're analyzing everything? Now imagine this. Who do you think is going to be more effective, Brian? The person that analyzes 28 days out of 30 or the person who analyzes 1 day out of 30?
The one reviews more.
Because you have more times to correct things. That's because it doesn't happen for 2 weeks before you adjust it.
It's too long.
And so many people operate their weeks and they never take time to reflect, adjust, and make real-time corrections.
That's right.
Oh, they think they have to have a problem in their business to make a correction. Oh, you don't have to have a problem to make a correction. Yeah. You just need an opportunity to make an optimization.
Yeah.
Okay, I just made that up. Now that's good.
That's good. Like that. Opportunity to make an optimization.
I like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Repeat that back. Okay. So if it's one thing, get the foundational flow. It's going to really help you. Okay. If you just want to add a dose, like make sure every single day before you go home, before your workday's done, that you're reviewing how did I show up? What did I actually spend my time on? Where did I show up as my highest self? Where did I not? And then how can I course correct to make sure that tomorrow I show up in my highest self? Okay. Just that check in on a daily basis. Okay. So that's key to system. Another one that's key is I try to live by this principle. And LaShawn Merritt, one of my clients, you know LaShawn?
I know the name, but no.
Yeah. Multi 8-time world champion, 3-time Olympic gold medalist.
That's why I know. Okay, yeah. I know the name.
He said this thing, and he said it. It's like I didn't get it, and now I get it because I'm like, this is where I do that. He was talking about. I asked him how he did 3 gold medals, and he said that a big part of how is because he does all the preparation so that the day of the race he can just execute. And I'm like, the reason why I didn't get it is because he was a runner. And I'm like, everybody's executing. Everybody's running. You're in a race. So who's not executing? And then as you break down, he started talking about how so many people are in their head about their start, their posture, their strides, where they're at certain markers. And he did that so much, it was already in his subconscious. He wasn't thinking about none of that. He was just executing. So calendar, foundational flow, if you look at let's just say today, you look at tomorrow and you go, what would I need so that when I sit down to do marketing, so that when I sit down to facilitate this meeting, that I have everything that I need in order to do it at the highest level? I don't think enough people do it.
They don't.
I don't. I think they got a couple of notes, they got a calendar, and they just kind of show up and survive.
Notepad, maybe, working off that, but
they just show up and survive.
They're not prepared.
And that intentionality is a big deal. I can't tell you the number of times that I've been thinking about what do I need for something, and even today. Matter of fact, the reason why we're talking about this foundational flow right now is because I did that for today. I was like, I don't need to prep for this podcast. He's just going to ask me questions. I'm going to rip it. I do a ton of these things.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but what would happen if I was more intentional? And then I started thinking, who's listening? Okay, a lot of people, they got a lot of car rides. They're trying to make sales. They're trying to start up entrepreneur. What would be helpful? Okay, I heard this from these guys. What does it feel like they don't have? Oh, it doesn't feel like they have like a practical resource to be like, here's how to manage your time to get in practical momentum. I have that. I can give that. Yeah. So I wouldn't even have had this resource to give to somebody that probably really needs to hear it or use it. If I was not being intentional about my day and setting myself up to execute and not to think about executing. Yes.
Dude, the preparation it shows.
Yeah.
When you speak, you don't do a TEDx talk without being very prepared. Yeah. And the way you transitioned, I hope people are picking up on the theme. Like, one of your competitive edges, I'll just tell you, is your ability to get prepared for the moment. Even as you're sharing your client's story, you're learning from them of, they were prepared for the moment, because the moment comes and goes. And if you were not prepared for it, it says, if you don't prep for those moments, It's almost like the 2.1 million views. Yeah, that's awesome. Cool.
Right.
But the preparation would create that other separation.
It would.
Like, would it be double, triple, quadruple?
Who knows?
10x? Who knows?
Who knows?
And that preparation is a competitive edge that
Yes.
I think people can get it like a muscle.
Yeah.
You got to work it out.
Yeah.
But that's just a theme. I just want to reflect it back because you shared it. I'm like,
no, it's a big part.
that's big,
Yeah,
dude.
I don't know if would have said that.
We can all do that. I always look for things that I go, man, what could I replicate? What could I learn? What could I go do? How well am I prepared for things?
Yeah.
Or as I prepare for these, I've listened to some other podcasters, Ed Milet being one, and he talked about his preparation. I go, I got to level up my preparation game.
Right.
And, you know, and I do very similar to what you said. Is like, I don't want people to think about this. I'm sharing it for the listeners. Like, how prepared are you for that next conversation?
Right.
How prepared are you for that next big meeting?
Right.
Hopefully you got a stage you can speak on, but if not, you shared everyday conversations are happening.
Yeah.
And are you present? Are you there? Are you prepared? Or are you just winging it?
Right.
You know, it's like, I don't want to go through life. And one of my friends has a song about just going through the motions, you know, Matthew West. And I'm like, man, I don't want to go through the motions in life.
Man.
Life's too short.
Too short, bro.
Okay, brother, final lesson.
Yeah.
I always love to know anything that God's taught you or something on your heart that you have been thinking about and kind of recurring theme as of late.
I was kind of laughing a lot lately at this cosmic joke that I feel like is happening of everybody being worried about the future because of AI and like this rise of demand for corporate stages who want future work speakers and I somebody asked me on a live stream series yesterday of what's my thought on all that, like what do I think the future of communication, of leadership, and what's our future? And I was like, I think the future is humanity and spirituality. Like the future is back to the basics. Like this advancement of technology, as much as there's a need to keep up and adapt, and I hope, please, like, don't be the late adapter, don't be the person who's like the internet's evil and then it's you know, like, get on the train now. But like, man, I didn't say it as eloquently yesterday, but I can say it now today. Is like AI is taking away the doing so that we can focus on the being.
Dude, that's good.
Yeah, I know. And I didn't say as well yesterday, but I after I fumbled through it,
reflected back. Like we talked about, this is in practice.
Already watched the film back, bro.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, I know it goes by sometimes. I miss things too. I'm like,
I know, bro.
Dude, that's good.
And that's my favorite spots. I actually, you know, you asked me about something you can replicate. I think this process of review, one of the things that I do, I think this is something you can replicate that'll really help you. When I watch back the film of my speaking, I'll, you know, there's a whole series of questions I'll ask myself. I'll give it to you. But one of the most important ones, in terms of development, is I have this part where I track divine seeds. Divine seeds are like, you said something that had a little weight to it.
Yeah.
You know, kind of that thing I said earlier, we're like, ooh, that was good.
Yeah.
The opportunities with the, what was it? I don't even remember what it was.
Oh, the optimization?
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah.
So I would go back and watch this, and I'd be like, what else was there? Why did it feel so weighty?
Yeah.
Like, because and then I open up this whole new world, a place right?
Oh, it's on our Disney.
Yeah. So sorry just for the side swipe, but I think that'd be a good thing to just go like, okay, let me watch this back and go, what were the divine seeds?
Yeah.
What statements did I say that had some weight to it? And then now unpack those a bit and see, because I found that they have a life of their own. And a lot of times the reason why they have a weight is because there is a well of information for me to draw from.
So good.
Yeah.
Dude, this has been awesome.
Yeah.
My friend, I knew this was going to be fun, but I was so ready, and I can't wait to listen back, because these are the ones I always say is just you sharing that. I thought, man, I want to go hear that again. The way that landed, I'm like, okay, we got to keep moving. But I love how you share that, because I think a lot of people just skip past that, and they might have this next big idea, your next book, your next speaking, your next whatever you're trying to do to impact lives. You might already have it.
Yeah, you might.
It might be in the well.
It might be in the well.
Oh,
yeah.
Brother, this has been great.
Yeah.
Dude, I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man.
Okay, guys, this has been an incredible episode. So I know you're going to want to go back. You got to listen. Make sure you either message us, message Darryll, so you can get some of the framework, some of the things we talked about today. We want to get you the resources, right? They're free. I always say Those are the ones, though, that you got to take action. So my only ask is, if you get the free resources, take action. Let us know how they worked in your life. And then share the podcast. This today was packed with so much. So I know you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. And so use it for yourself, but also be the one that connects other people. I have found in my own journey, I share a podcast that somebody else did. And then it touches them, it connects them. They're like, man, that was awesome. Well, then they remember me as the person that shared that info. So share this podcast out. We are working to be in the top, not just 2%, but 1%. So make sure, leave us a review, 5-star rating, and all that cool stuff. And until then, go out there, do something great, take action on something that you learned today. And then as you share that with other people, that's how you move from being that student to even a teacher in your own life. So we appreciate you guys tuning in, spending your time with us. We'll catch you on the next episode. See ya.